So I'm going to share with you the experience that I had over the last 3 years. So as just mentioned, I built a new team from scratch. And on the following slide, you can see actually where we came from. And I think the picture that you see on the left is quite recognizable for many of us, right? So it was very inefficient ways of working. You could say typically Excel-based. People were spending all of their time on trying to get to the data instead of doing something with the data, right? So we were clearly missing the opportunity to drive value. And then what we also saw in areas where things were going right or better, it was very much driven by an individual that had specific knowledge. It was not ingrained in the organization. And if something good happened in one area, it was hardly ever leveraged to another area, right? So what we said, we need to change this. And one of the big problems that we had is everybody had their day job and everybody was busy, right? And we realized if we really want to make this change, we need to get to a dedicated team, dedicated resources. And that's why we grounded my team 3 years ago. We started totally from scratch, a new team in Europe, nothing like my team before. And we said, if we want to drive this, we need to create what I would call a holistic team. So this is not just about a programmer or having finance knowledge. It's also about project management, change management, external perspective, what's going out there, what are best practices, and so on. And we decided this has to be a business team. So this is not IT driven, and we kept away from external consultants as well. So we really said, no, these are our core processes. We want to understand them and own them. And this is not an IT organization, but we are really part of the European finance team that in our organization is the key team that deals with data, analytics, things like that. So then if we move on, what you can see is, So one thing is we want to make an impact, right? So what we very much learned is digital transformation is not about technology push. When we started our journey, we were very much afraid that we're going to end up with something what you see on the left. A Ferrari stuck in the garage, nobody is using it. So we want to make an impact, right? So we believe this is not about digital for the sake of digital, because it will be a waste of time, money, effort, and so on. So it's all about what does the user need, right? So it's not about the smartest design. If users don't use it or go another way, it doesn't really work, right? So in our strategy, that is clearly reflected. So on the next slide, we actually have our strategy. And as you can see, it's the bubble in the middle that counts. It's customer centricity. In our case, our customers are 90% of the time are actually our own colleagues, right? It can be a division, it can be your GM, it can be finance colleagues, other FP&A colleagues, it can be anyone. But the key thing is that we said the user is what it's all about. And it means that we are solutions focused. So we're not here to push a technology like we just said, but we're here actually to provide a solution, something that helps the organization. So we're here to answer business needs. And the green bubbles that you see on the left are the ones that we learned. And also if you read about it in some great articles that you can find, is what is key to have an impactful solution. So first of all, answer a business need. People are much more willing to use your tool and collaborate in the building when you are there to help them, compared to, oh, here's this great piece of software and now go ahead, right? And another thing is it needs to be relevant. So the data that you're using, what you're presenting, it needs to be relevant, right? If it's not what the business is used to, how they look at the business, it's not going to help. And it also has to be actionable. It's one thing to have the right data, but if it ends up with millions of rows of data, huge spreadsheets, the business typically doesn't know what to do with it, right? So it needs to be actionable. Whenever you look at your solutions, it needs to be clear. What's the message? What can I do with this? It needs to drive an action. So if you want to do that, right? So how do you get there? The key thing is get out of the ivory tower. Now, don't do this alone in a corner with a bunch of smart people, but do this together with the business, with the users. Do this with the people that do the hard work today, that know what's right, that know how the decisions are being made, right? So do this together. And how do you do this? So we decided to do this through agile development. So we agree on the objective. What is the business question that we want to answer? And then we go into iterations or cycles where we create a prototype. Then we look at it together, we get feedback, we fix some bugs, and we go on and on and on. And each step, it becomes a bit better. And another important element is what we call adaptive design. It's okay to change your mind if it means that the end result is better, because that will mean you will make more impact, right? So it can be the moment they see a prototype and they say, oh, first I said this, but honestly, now I look at it, I got some new feedback and we need to change the design a bit. That's fine, as long as the end result is better. And then you've done all this, right? So you've created your great solution. It's also about managing the change, because it's one thing to create something that is great, but it's about adoption, right? People are hesitant to change. Change can be scary. People are busy. It can be anything. So you need to very proactively drive this change, help the business to do this, dedicate resources to drive this, trainers, you name it. And if you've done all this and you've driven the adoption, be careful. Something that is good for this year could be not perfect anymore next year or the year after. So think about solutions life cycle. It's like an app on your phone, you get updates every now and then that make things a bit better, new technology, new functionality. So think about your solutions life cycle. And then something that we learned the hard way, and that's the thing totally on the right, master data. You can do all of this, what I just described perfectly, but if your master data isn't correct, people are looking at the wrong data and they will find out pretty soon, and they don't want to use your solutions any longer, and it will not have the impact that you're after, right? So if we can move on, then, because this is not just about the solutions, right, and about what you do, it's also about how it fits in the organization. So on the next slide, you can see how we approach this. So this is a slide that comes from IMD, which is a business school that I very much like. But there are three phases, basically, about what we do here. So the first thing is you create this. There is this need, right? So you could say, what's the business need? What's the customer need? And what sort of technologies are available? Well, the combination of those gets you to a new solution, the star. Hooray! We got our great new tool, analytics, whatever it is. Then you see you've driven with this, together with IT and other automation solutions, you've become more efficient, right? People that used to create this manually or semi-manually, now it's being automated. Your processes change. So the combination of your new solution with IT capabilities means that your processes will change. This is the first sort of, this means something else needs to change, right? So your processes change. Then you see when your processes change, it can be that your organizational setup will need to change. So what we saw, we needed to create a team like my own. We also saw that we had quite a lot of people doing transactional finance in our FP&A and also in controlling teams. And we said, okay, we don't need these data crunchers anymore. We actually now need people that can interpret these new tools, that can work with it, but that can also be stronger business partners that provide insights. So that means that the organizational structure changed. And on top of that, we even saw that the culture had to change, because is the business ready for it? Self-service instead of somebody giving you a PowerPoint. All sorts of things can change, right? So this is like a piano. You need to think about all the elements in your organization if you want to make an impact. It's more than technology. So how did we do this, right? So on the next slide, you will see a part of how we did this. So my new team, so that's the team that was at the core of the change that we did in Europe. The two blue bubbles actually are my team. You'll have very techie people, data engineers or digital analysts that create more like the front end of the tools. And we have people that I call analytics business partners. Very close to a finance business partner, but people that typically come from finance. They know the business, they're great business partners, but they are also tech savvy. And they actually work as a catalyst, as a translator between the business and the techie people. And together with the techie people, so the dark blue bubble, these analytics business partners, and doing this together with the business, we create our solutions. The moment that they're there, they're automated, right? So that is presented by this cloud with these turning gears that you see on the top right. And it's no longer about creating these reports. It's about process control, quality. Can we make it faster? Can we make it smarter? And then the delivery of our reports and analytical tools is one-way, zero-touch direction to the end users. So 80-90% of periodical reporting is zero-touch, and it goes to the business. However, of course, the business needs support, right? You need interpretation of these numbers. There can be specific business cases, ad hoc cases, you name it. And that's where we still see that the analytics business partner plays an important role with our GMs and other senior leaders. When we make a big sales deal, you name it, right? They understand both worlds. So what does it mean, right? What's the impact for us? So no more periodical Excel reporting. We have now harmonized user-focused reporting and a great analytics portfolio, so you can also go fully ad hoc, flexible. depending on what you're after, right? So we have better insights, deeper insights, a lot faster, great granularities, things that Excel couldn't handle in the past through cloud computing, all available now. We are as automated as can be, and we call this zero operations. And because of that, we were able to change our organization and our processes. So we are much more efficient, and we were able to change the way we work and the way we're set up, so we can truly focus our resources now on business partnering. And actually, something I'm quite proud of, so together with the business teams that we were doing this with, we actually received a CFO Finance Excellence Award last year for our digital finance transformation. And this is the use case that I wanted to share with you.